Myself, Mohammad Nuran Ansari, pursuing BTech from Aliah University, second year, third semester, roll number CEN 2014. I made this uh, video lecture on paint assigned by Mr. Moshin Jamal. First of all, let's start with the introduction of paint. Paint can be defined as a pigmental liquid with a liquefiable nature that substrate into a thin layer and convert to a solid film upon application. The primary objective of paint is to protect, impart color and provide texture to the surface where it is applied. In another word, paint can be understood as the substance that is commonly used as a final finish to the surface of the structure for protecting or decorating the surface. The base, vehicle, thinner and pigment are the main component of paint. Paint is basically a pigmented opaque material, that is, it can hide the surface to which it is applied. A wide variety of paint with various formula are used all over the world. The most common type of paint formula available in the market are oil-based formula and water-based formula. Paint is also available in a wide variety of color. It is basically stored and applied as a liquid but eventually dries into a solid after application. It is a combination of pigment with appropriate thinner or oil. It is usually applied to the surface by spraying or brushing. It is used as a protective covering to prevent corrosion, chemical attacks and other weathering effects. It is also used to enhance the aesthetic appearance of the structure. All paints are not suitable for all conditions. For different conditions, different type of paints are desirable. Now move to the characteristics of good paint. The characteristic of good paint can be listed as follows. Point A, paint should have high coverage and durability. Point B, it must be able to form an elastic, tough and hard film upon drying. Point C, the paint must have a good hiding power and must impart the required color. Point D, it must not crack upon drying. Point E, it must be able to resist the weathering effects as well as corrosion. Point F, the paint must dry quickly. Point G, the color imparted by the paint should not fade away within a short period of time. Point H, it must be resistive to blistering, cracking and moisture. Point I, the brush marks should not appear after application. Point J, the paint must provide a long lasting pleasing appearance. Component of paint. There are 7 components of paint. They are base body. The base is one of the main component of paint and is also commonly referred to as body of paint. It can be defined as the solid substance in a fine state which forms the body of the paint. The base makes the paint opaque, harder and elastic in nature. It is also prevent the paint from cracking, particularly red shrinking, red cracking, white lead, red lead, zinc oxide, zinc white, iron oxide, titanium white, aluminum powder, lithophone, etc. are example of the base. Some of them are explained below. Vehicle. The vehicle is basically composed of an oily liquid in which both the base and pigments are soluble. The primary objective of vehicle is to allow the paint to spread over the surface to which it is applied. The vehicle mostly adjusts the viscosity of the paint. It is quite volatile in nature, due to which it does not necessarily become a part of the paint. With water is used as a vehicle in the case of the water based paint. On the other hand, various type of solvent are used as a vehicle in case of the oil based paint. Say some of the common example of vehicle can be listed as follow: linseed oil, dehydrated castor oil, bleached oil, fish oil, soybean oil, petroleum distillate, alcohol, ketone and ester glycol ether. Pigment. The pigment is responsible for imparting the color to the paint. The primary function of the pigment is to hide the surface to which it is applied. It also makes the surface opaque and glossy in nature. The pigment can be commonly classified into 2 types, namely extended inert pigment and the prime pigment. The most common type of pigment used are zinc oxide and titanium oxide. Some of the common example of pigment are: in white color paint, white lead, titanium white, lithophone are used as a pigment. In yellow color paint, chrome yellow, zinc chromate, yellow ochres are used as a pigment. In red color paint, red lead, Ventian red, chrome red, natural red oxide of iron are used as a pigment. In blue color paint, Persian blue, Paris blue, ultramarine, cobalt blue are used as a pigment. In brown color paint, oxide of iron are used as a pigment. Thinner. Thinner is also called a solvent. It is added to the paint with the objective of making the application of paint easy, uniform and smooth. It is also used to adjust the viscosity of the paint. The main function of the thinner can be listed as follows: increase the fluidity of paint, making the application of paint easier and smoother, facilitating the penetration of paint into the porous surface. Some of the examples of paint thinners are turpentine, obtained from the distillation of gums from pine trees; petroleum spirit; coal tar and other hydrocarbon. Extender. The extender is also referred to as the filler. As the name itself implies, the filler is added to the paint to increase or extend the volume of the paint without disturbing other essential properties. The chief characteristic of extender is that it is chemically inert to other component of paint. Some of the common example of extender are as follows: gypsum, chalk, barite, silica and magnesium silicate dryer. The dryer is also usually added to the paint to accelerate the drying of the vehicle of the paint. The primary function of dryer is to increase the oxidation and hardening of the vehicle. Some of the common example of dryer are the organic salt of lead, iron, zinc, magnesium, calcium, etc. Additive. The additive is added in a small amount to the paint. It is added to the paint to improve the properties of paint such as opacity, color, dispersion of pigment, anti-freezing properties, corrosion resistant properties, etc. Some basic example of base. White lead. White lead is used extensively for the painting work for the building and woodwork. It is available in the market in a variety of form, commonly powder form and stiff paste form. It is mostly used as an undercoat. The stiff paste form is made by mixing the white lead with linseed oil. White lead is dense and waterproof in nature. It can be applied easily and has excellent covering powder. However, it is not suitable for metal work. It must always be kept covered as it is prone to discoloration under exposure to the air. Red lead. Red lead is bright red in color. The bright red color is imparted by the presence of oxide of lead. It is also available in the market in two forms, that is powder form or the paste form. Red lead as paint base dries quickly, is durable and has a fresh appearance. It is commonly used for the painting of ironwork and also as a priming coat on wooden surface. It can also be used as a dryer as it solidifies quickly when mixed with linseed oil. The disadvantages of red lead is that it is poisonous in nature and must not be used when fresh. Zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is also called zinc white. It basically oxide of zinc and constitute the base for almost all zinc paints. It essentially consists of white powder and is also available in paste form by grinding with linseed oil. Zinc oxide is smooth and transparent in nature. It is highly desirable because it is non-poisonous and resistive to corrosion as well as sulfur attacks. The limitation of zinc oxide is that it is costly, less durable and less workable. After hardening, it is prone to surface cracking. Titanium white. Titanium white is highly opaque in nature. It consists of chemically inert pigment and is non-poisonous in nature. Titanium white is not affected by factors such as light, heat as well as acid. Due to its high refractive index, titanium white possesses excellent hiding power and is generally used as an undercoat in all type of exterior and interior organic coating. Iron oxide. Iron oxide forms the base of all sort of iron paint. It is usually obtained from the hematite ore. It is extensively used as the protective coating for rusting and as a prime coat for structural steel and iron surface. Defects in painting. Some of the defects in painting work can be summarized as follows: fading. Fading is a common type of defect in painting work that causes the discoloration of applied paint. The main cause of such defects are various atmospheric factors such as rain, sunlight, moisture infiltration, etc. Precisely, fading may be defined as the loss of one or more color pigment from the film of paint. Over time, the film of paint starts to lose the color pigment under harsh atmospheric condition and continuous sun exposure. Cause of fading. The main cause of fading can be listed as below: sunlight, infrared and ultraviolet radiation, temperature variation, application of dark color paint. Darker color tend to absorb more radiation from the sunlight. Coastal and harsh environmental condition, inadequate film thickness, use of inferior quality paints. Repair and prevention of fading. Once fading of the paint could begin, it cannot be repaired completely, but for preventing further decoloration, weathering resistant pigment may be used. Some of the precautions that can be taken: 1. Use of certified UV resistant paint from authorized manufacturers. 2. Selection of lighter colored paint. 3. Regular maintenance and supervision. Peeling and blistering. Blistering of paint is defect that cause swelling of paint film. The actual reason behind the swelling of the film of paint is formation of air bubble beneath the coating of the paint due to ingress of moisture, oil or greases matter. If the swelling of the film of paint occur due to grease or oil, then it is also known as blistering. On the other hand, if the swelling of the paint film occur due to water or moisture, it is known as peeling. Usually the swelling is caused due to the use of excessive oil during the application of the final coat, inappropriate seasoning of timber, trapping of gases beneath the coat of the paint, etc. Causes of peeling and blistering. Some of the cause of peeling and blistering of paint can be listed as follows: excessive moisture, high humidity, excessive layer of paint, lack of surface preparation before application, use of poor quality paint, high temperature, long exposure to sunlight, use of inappropriate application technique. Graining. In absence of adequate thickness of paint, final coat of paint, the background becomes visible. Such defect is known as graining of paint. Precisely, graining occurs when the paint coat is not opaque enough to cover the background, that is due to insufficient opacity of the final coat of paint. Thus, the underlying surface becomes visible. Causes of graining. Some of the causes of graining of the paint can be listed as follows: inadequate thickness of the final coat, insufficient volume of paint, low opacity paint, use of strong color in underlying coats, etc. Type of paint. Some commonly used type of paints are emulsion paint. The emulsion paint is mixture of two liquids that do not blend well with each other, that is the mixture of two different non-blending liquid. In the emulsion paint, 50 to 60% volume of water is present and the remaining portion consists of the oily or solid portion. In the pigment form, the oily particles have a higher density than water. Enamel paint. Enamel paint can be defined as oil based paint that is used then highly glossy finish is required. It consists of white lead, zinc white, resin and other petroleum product. It has characteristic coverage and color retention property. It is slow drying paint as it dries very slowly. It is hard in nature and provide a glossy and opaque finish to the surface where it is applied. It is also offer excellent durability and stain resisting properties. It may also be water based. Distemper paint. Distemper paint is basically water based paint and consists of a mixture of water, chalk and pigment. It is used as the early form of whitewash, but in actual it is better than a regular whitewash. In the distemper paint, mostly the resins and animal glue are used as the binding material. The distemper paint provides a smooth finish to the surface. It is also commonly referred to as cement paint. This because the distemper paint can be applied directly on the plastered walls without the use of any prime coat. The distemper paint is available in both the powder form and the paste form in the market. It is comparatively cheaper and can last as long as 5 years. Aluminium paint. The aluminium paint is mostly used as coating material, essentially comprising of a mixture of oil, varnish, and pigment of aluminium in the form of thin flakes. In a simple sense, the aluminium paint consists of a mixture of fine powdered aluminium. The composition does allow the paint film to reflect the radiation of the sun and to retain the heat in hot water tanks, pipe, and furnace. The hardening of the aluminium paint layer is achieved through the evaporation of the oil. The aluminium flake present in the paint provide a shiny and metallic finish upon application of the paint. The major application of such type of painting include the painting of woodwork, metallic surface, etc. So here my presentation or lecture video on paint is complete. Thank you so much.